What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, filming this mailbag during our live Baker Mayfield show, of course, airing on Wednesday when the news broke. So if you want to be on a future mailbag, subscribe. Plus, when news like this happens, like Baker gets traded and we go live, you can join the show. But let's dive into some questions stemming from the Baker Mayfield trade, because there's going to be a bit of a domino effect of what's next. So, first question. Coming in from the Brown Tiger. Does Robby Anderson get traded now? No, I don't think so for three reasons, okay? Reason number one, you don't trade for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. You don't trade for a quarterback and then decide, okay, let's start unleashing assets that can help that quarterback, be as successful as possible. Two, Anderson's contract, which he recently signed with the Panthers, not very friendly to trade. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for Carolina. Three, probably the reason why you're asking this question, because Robby Anderson kind of threw some shade at Baker, and it's going to be awkward in that locker room. You're Robby Anderson, right? You're not a top 10 wide receiver who can request a trade and the team honors it for what you've given the organization. No, they're going to say, figure it out. Question coming in from my guy, Jeffrey. Take a shot for DK Metcalf now. No, Jeffrey. I like where your heart's at, but it's not happening. The only slim chance of DK ever coming to Cleveland would have been Baker to go to Seattle, get DK back, and you don't ask for much, and you give the Seahawks a pick plus Baker to get Metcalf, because you don't have a first anyway to offer Seattle. Metcalf, he ain't coming to Cleveland. That's just not going to happen. But speaking of trades, is Andrew Berry done? You know what I'm saying? Is he going to enjoy the next 2.5 weeks of the offseason until training camp opens up? Or do you see him making some more moves, whether it is for a wide receiver, not DK, bring the aspirations down, maybe a defensive lineman? Let me know Y for yes or N for no. Robbie Schneider coming in with the question saying, now do we think making a signing move with a little boost in the cap space? So there are some free agents still available that I think could maybe be intriguing to the Browns. Will Fuller, for example, and Ndamukong Suh, right? But here's what I'll say about Fuller. I only see the Browns signing a wide receiver if Deshaun Watson is suspended for a lengthy enough period of time that Andrew Berry feels, listen, Watson could elevate DPJ, Anthony Schwartz, and David Bell. Don't have that much faith in Brissett doing the same. So let's give Brissett some more weapons to work with so that he can manage and hold down the fort until Watson returns. So that's the only way I see someone like Fuller or a wide receiver being signed. As for Suh, this really hasn't changed that. They still had over $40 million in cap space before the trade, so it wasn't like they were strapped for cash. I only see a signing happening if during training camp, Jordan Elliott, Perrion Winfrey, Tommy Togiai, they don't look the part, and Barry says, you know what? I wanted to believe in you guys, the young crew, the cheaper option, working out for us at defensive tackle. Not happening. Let's bring someone like Suh in. We got a question coming in from Zach Schaefer, longtime supporter of the show. Appreciate you. A super chat. Thank you so much, Zach. Cheers to you. Do you think the Browns will sign a free agent? Kind of going off the last question, not really. The only way I see it happening is if they want to get a wide receiver because Watson is suspended for a while, or like I said just a moment ago, they don't feel the defensive line is up to par during training camp. And let's say especially if Watson gets a 0-game suspension, right? The no punishment comes down and it's all chips in to win the Super Bowl this year. Why cut any corners when you got some cash and bring someone like Suh in? Question coming in from a Chat Sports legend, Mike Dibble, super chatting, saying, hey, Matthew, with the money free, do the Browns sign anyone else or are they done? So we got a lot of free agency questions here. I hate to just kind of go in circles, but unfortunately, Mike, I kind of got the same answer for you like I had for Zach and earlier. I just don't see it happening. I think Barry is very content with the wide receiver room, and I think he is optimistic about the defensive line. And the other parts of the roster seem pretty complete to me. Linebacker, no. Secondary, no. Offensive line, no. I just don't see it happening unless an injury or, like I said, Watson suspension. That would change some things. Motivation now on the show asking, do you think the Browns are confident about the Watson situation with this trade? That's a great question, right? Except for now kind of backtracking because Baker was never going to play for the Browns this year. I think those two things were separate. Watson and Baker, right? They were never going to merge, meaning if Watson were to be suspended, well, could Baker play for a couple games? No. I've long said on the show, Baker would never take a snap for the Browns in 2022. And if he did, I would be doing a polar plunge in Lake Erie. It's not going to happen. Would have been fun for everyone to see me do that, right? I was going to wear a Speedo and a Baker Mayfield jersey. But I don't think the two are all that related. Plus, I think the Browns are kind of actually more or less a lot like us. They're waiting for the judge, Sue L. Robinson, to make a decision, and they know more than we do, but they may not know a lot more. Now, when breaking news like Baker Mayfield gets traded or Deshaun Watson gets traded or Amari Cooper gets traded, we go live here on the channel, and that's why you subscribe. So make sure you hit the sub button. Get locked in for the best Browns YouTube coverage out there. Question coming in from Adventures with Adrenaline. Darnold to Seattle because of the Pete Carroll and USC connection. We used the pick we got from Carolina to trade for Jimmy G. This guy gets it. I mean, this is some deep stuff right here. So Darnold, to back up, has the same contract Baker does. He's, 2018 draft pick who's got fifth-year option picked up, owed fully guaranteed $18.8 million. I don't think they cut Darnold. That just makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? If Baker went for this, Darnold, you have to trade picks for someone to take off that contract off your books. Seattle might be looking at Darnold now, but they're not going to, it would be Darnold plus like a fourth for a six just to get Seattle to agree to take on Darnold's contract. Jimmy G to Cleveland, put a pin in it. Got to wait and see what happens with Watson. I wouldn't absolutely rule it out, but I think it would have to be a very long suspension, 10 games to a year for the Browns to look to trade for Garoppolo. Question coming in from Rob Sarah Stover. Do the Browns sign OBJ now? Yes, and he comes back wearing number 6. No, I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. signs with the Browns. One, remember, there's the news that came out that he actually tore his ACL reportedly before the Super Bowl, and it just really ruptured during the game. But regardless, he got surgery after the Super Bowl. Took him 11 months to recover last time. Let's just say it's 10 months this time, or even 9. That puts him November range. I'm guessing he signs midseason. Jeffrey with our next question, longtime supporter of the show. Appreciate you. Watson wins comeback player of the year after Sue says no violation of code. Let's just say that happens. I think Watson's got enough bad PR right now from the vote getters, or from the voters. They're not voting him comeback player of the year. You don't win the award for sitting out a year because of a mixture of requesting a trade and the team being unable to trade you because of allegations. No. Baker, 10-1 odds, though. So maybe that could happen. I wouldn't be blown away if Baker were to win comeback player of the year, especially because you don't have a Joe Burrow who came off the horrific knee injury. And Alex Smith, also really horrific knee injury. You don't have that this year, so it could be Baker. I wouldn't be blown away. Now, we also have content for you guys over on Rumble. So check us out, rumble.com/Browns Report. It's another video platform service, but a really cool feature about Rumble is, let's say you want to watch the video, but you want to also be on your phone and text or go on Twitter. You can have audio only, like a podcast, playing in the background and do whatever else you want to do on your phone. So follow us at Rumble, rumble.com/Browns Report. We got some more questions to get to. Jeffrey once again saying, bro, boo Fuller, boo. He's broken and will be on IR all year. Might as well have kept Baker if we're going to waste a roster spot. Yeah, the issue with Will Fuller has been the injuries, right? He's played less than 50% of career games possible. But when he hooked up with Deshaun Watson, he was an awesome vertical threat. And you don't really have that guaranteed on the roster right now. Amari Cooper is not that player, right? He's not a stretch the field level of wide receiver. You want Anthony Schwartz to be that. You believe DPJ can be that. Bell will be the Landry replacement in the slot, but you don't confidently have a down-the-field, stretch-the-defense-out receiver like Will Fuller can offer, but you're right on with the injuries. But when he's healthy, he's a good receiver. No doubt about it. Question coming in from Centurion. Last question of the show, too. What can the Panthers' record be? So Panthers fans, I'm guessing right now, are probably a little upset about this because they were full-on tank for Bryce Young or tank for C.J. Stroud. The issue with that is Scott Fritter and Matt Rule, the GM and the head coach in Carolina, aren't about that. Because if they tank and have 1 or 2 wins, they're not going to be the coach and the GM for the next quarterback, right? They're not going to reap the rewards. So for their mind's sake and for their job, Baker can come in there and, I mean, the NFC South, you got 6 games there. You got the Falcons, that could be 2-0. Saints, let's say you split it 1-1. Bucks, they're going to be good, but the Bucks have stumbled at times against division opponents. Like New Orleans had Tampa's number since Brady got there. So NFC, not uber talented. I'll say 7-10. I think Baker could go 7-10. Not as good as a roster he had in Cleveland, no doubt about it. But the NFC is not as competitive. So that's what I'll predict the Panthers' record to be. Week 1, by the way, like I said, Browns, Panthers, get your popcorn ready. Baker revenge game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It'll be the second best game of the first weekend of football, only behind Russell Wilson returning to Seattle and playing on his new team with the Broncos. But it's going to be fun to watch Baker play his old team, the Browns, week 1. No doubt about it. All right, let's get some shout-outs here. Who you got week 1, Browns, Panthers? Let me know down in the comments section. CLE for the Browns or CAR for the Carolina Panthers. I'll be looking in the comments section, so let me know down below who you're going with, and I'll be replying. Hopefully you're going CLE, but if you want to go Carolina, you got to take some medication because I don't see that happening any way possible.